GTWE wrestler The Mac.
And I'm Showtime Stevie Stamos.
Have you ever dreamed of owning your own race car and taking it out for a test drive? Well, thanks to our friends at Rent a Race Car, you can!
Visit www.rentaracecarne.com for all the details on how you can take one of these babies out to Stafford Motor Speedway. We'll see you at the races.
Touchdown!
Racing action on Tim's Corner Motorsports is presented by Pache Motors, the largest Ram truck dealer in Atlantic Canada. Browse their inventory online at pachemotors.com. Tranquility. Help for anxiety is only a click away. Learn more by visiting tranquility.app. Finish Line Vinyl Design, the official decal supplier of Tim's Corner Motorsports. Like them on Facebook at facebook.com/finishline vinyl design. And by CB Warren's Auto Care.
Good evening and welcome to Vidane TV. Here for the next SuperTruck series. Here's the J.I.'s music. Learn with Disaster 120 iRacing SuperSpeedway. Showtime, Paul Strickland Jr. here in the production truck, pushing all the buttons, making the magic happen in front of your faces, and I'm not here alone as always. My brothers from other mothers, Kyle Young here from Vidane TV, Tim's Corner Motorsports, brings us the very own Tim Terry. Tim, how we doing tonight?
We're doing great, getting ready for some Super Speedway racing with the NEPS series. This is the Super Trucks as we get ready to go green flag racing for 40 laps. And Kyle, a little bit of a preview with these guys. We saw them last night at Myrtle Beach with the Shift Marketing Design Grand National Series, but now we are getting ready to see them for the first of two races that we'll cover on Vidane at Super Speedways. iRacing Super Speedway being first, and then we'll roll the Talladega Super Speedway with the Shift Marketing and Design Grand National Series on Monday. So this is going to be exciting. Can't wait to see how this turns out.
Yeah, without a doubt, this is going to be a very wild night of racing, to say the least. 40 laps around this very large iRacing Super Speedway. Speeds are insane here. The banking and the turns are astronomical. It is a truly unique facility, a very special facility, and it is going to create an event like no other here tonight. So the trucks are getting themselves on the grid at the moment. Looks like we have 20 of the 24 drivers in this series that will be competing tonight. So the majority of the field is here. We got a few drivers that are left out, but the way that it works, Tim, your top three drivers are the only ones that get points. So for some of these teams, depending on how it all works out, I don't know exactly, maybe they just don't have their relief driver with them tonight.
And it looks like we're getting ready to go. We had one driver roll off there and roll back in. Want to thank J.I.'s Music for coming on board for this race, 40 laps at iRacing Super Speedway. And it was a random pill draw to set the lineup. And it's funny, Kyle, because Jeff Brown, one of the slowest drivers in practice, albeit it's a Super Speedway, you can't really go off for indications of practice time to race, but because everybody's so close, Jeff Brown put in the 19th quickest time. The driver that was quickest in practice, Ryan Salvatore, is starting at the back of the field. So 20 trucks, it's a Super Speedway, really doesn't matter where you start, but it's kind of weird that pill draw worked out that way.
Yeah, to say the least, that is a bit strange, but as you mentioned, it really doesn't have much of an impact on the success. The draft being the great equalizer here with this racetrack, you could be 3 seconds off of the fastest lap time in practice. It doesn't really mean much. If you were out running solo truck runs or didn't have a great draft, that's why you were slowest. So that's always the key here for these Super Speedway events, is keeping control of the draft and, of course, staying out of trouble. Now, this racetrack, very wide, much wider than either Talladega or Daytona, I believe, but with it being a Super Speedway, you always have to think about the big one, and that will absolutely be a factor in tonight's event.
You get a bird's eye view or right on board with the pole sitter. Now the blimp shot of this beautiful iRacing Super Speedway, one of the newest pieces of content, a fantasy racetrack, 3 miles in length. And it's funny, Brandon Campbell kind of mentioned it last week when we did the Bedane SuperSpeedway series, that it's like a Dover, Kyle, only with longer straightaways and higher banked corners. Green flag flies. We are underway for the first of 40 laps here in the JI's Music 120, and Jeff Brown leads them to green, and on the outside, it's that Team Student Drivers truck of Mike Hopkins' top 5 run last night at Myrtle Beach, but we're a long ways away from there.
Everybody getting themselves up through the gears and into the high banks of turns 1 and 2 for the very first time. Now, we'll remind you, if you're unfamiliar with this racetrack, no restrictor plates. These trucks are completely unrestricted, so you're going to be seeing speeds at about 225 to 230 miles an hour once they get going and up to pace. Look at that run in the middle lane. I believe that is Zane Farrell in the 14 machine pulling the 6th truck of Dylan Kopech up the middle. Farrell goes to the bottom side. They all fan out going into turn number 3. Kopech stays in the middle, lining up, and look at that. We're already seeing the teammates work together here, Tim. Whoa, big slide for race leader Jeff Brown. He nearly wipes himself out coming off of turn number 4. Is able to gather it up, but he will lose the lead, and leading lap number 1 is the 76 of Matt Kenfield.
And Matt Kenfield will lead them down into corner number 1. Well, I say that. Here comes Team Student Drivers on the outside, and getting lined up on that outside line with Mike Hopkins. Zane Farrell kind of stuck in the middle as we go down the back straightaway. Team Student Drivers no longer single file. We are 4 wide working down the back straightaway, and Charles Lewandowski trying to put himself in the mix as well on that inside line. Evan Boyler giving him a little bit of a shove, but going to be Zane Farrell in that second groove. Matt Kentfield to the inside as they duel it out for the lead position. And in behind, we got a couple of more drivers working their way up. That's Anthony Aiello in the 31. Going to give a little shove to Kentfield. He will be in second as Kentfield leads lap number 2.
And that shove that Aiello gave to Kentfield knocked Kentfield a little bit sideways coming down the front straightaway. These trucks are very sensitive to bump drafting, so you have to be careful when you do it, even on a straightaway. A straightaway bump draft could turn disastrous unintentionally, and you saw it right there. Zane Farrell just giving a slight little bump to Anthony Aiello, got that truck a little sideways. Not as bad as what Matt Kenfield had to deal with, and now you're right on board with Zane Farrell as he is trying to push his way towards the front, trying to beat that bottom line. Aiello is going to do so. He'll drop down. Farrell was not able to do the same, so Kentfield sticks his nose underneath and takes that position over. Zane Farrell trying to get as much of a push as he can from the student driver team right behind him. Now Aiello will come back to the top side. He may have enough, no he won't, to lead that lap, trying to test the waters early here on getting runs and taking the lead.
And how about those 3 Team Student Driver trucks lined up in behind? Hopkins, U-House, Kopech, as they are lined up in behind. I think they're going to have one more friend in DJ Gerard also there as well. So all 4 of the Team Student Drivers trucks positioning themselves for a run towards the front of the field, but albeit it is early. The leader is Matt Kenfield. They'll come by this next time through 3 and 4 and complete lap number 4. So still plenty of time to work here. And Kyle, I'm not sure what the fuel run is here for these trucks, but we did see some green flag pit stops last week, albeit it was at Montreal, so there was no caution flag to speak of at that racetrack. But I'm sure if these guys stay green, and there's a lot of respect by these drivers within this NEPS league, that we might very well see green flag pit stops here this evening.
Yeah, I would say that we probably will as well. Last Saturday in the Sim 500 Verdane SuperSpeedway Series, this was the combination that was raced, these trucks at the iRacing SuperSpeedway, and there were green flag pit stops in that race. So as long as these guys are able to stay clean, I feel fairly confident that we're going to see the same thing here tonight as well. Charles Lewandowski with a nice job giving a little shot there to Matt Kenfield. Those 2 trucks will stay out in front of the field. Lewandowski goes to the top side. Aiello goes to the way top side, nearly 4 wide. Some contact there between Zane Farrell and the 3 machine of Brandon Newhouse. They all sorted out, no harm, no foul there. And who is that down on the very bottom of the racetrack trying to find the way underneath of Evan Boyer? That is the 79 of Michael Hopkins. We are 4 wide for position number 2.
Plenty of room, but we did see one truck smack the wall on the outside. I think that was the teammate to Zane Farrell in behind, and Farrell up the hill in the 14 as we'll go 4 wide one more time. And oh boy, it's getting racy. It's almost like it's the last lap. These trucks getting a little bit light in the rear end. That was Corey Casagrande to the outside that smacked the wall down into corner number 1. And no harm, no foul. Got a little bit of damage to the right rear of that number 71 truck, but he's still motoring along, and he's going to look to the inside of Brandon Uhouse. He'll go 3 wide for that position as they come up at a corner number 4.
Just took a look at the server information. These drivers do have a fast repair in their back pockets tonight if they need it, so that allows them to be involved in an incident and get away scot-free to be able to have an opportunity to continue to compete. So I'm wondering if maybe that has an impact. Whoa, we got one truck into the outside wall in turn number 1. Some side-by-side drafting put that machine up into the top side of turn 1. That was the 7 of Kyle Casagrande. He makes contact with the safer barrier, gets it going, but you can still see as he's on the back straightaway how much speed he is off the pace by. All of these trucks running towards the back of the field just blowing by him with ease.
And I was about to say this is the second pack, and I think a second pack per se is starting to form back there because they are so far off this first pack that we have. But you can start to see some differing strategies, I'll call it, as you see off that wide shot. Bunch of trucks coming off of the back half of this pack as the 56 of Boiler will lead that lap. Guys like Jason Ricker, Ryan Salvatore, Alexander, Brent Roy, Kenny Kibbe, Jeff Brown, Austin Bulkey, among those that are kind of single file at the back of the field. But this is impressive up in front. 3, 4. I wouldn't surprise me at one point tonight to see 5 because this track is wide enough to do so, but we see the drafting partners, the dancing partners, teammates, whatever you want to call it, work together. But those team student drivers trucks, I don't know, Kyle, if it's because they look similar and they're sharp and they stand out, but it seems like they can work together and there's no harm, no foul there. Oh boy, Aiello nearly had a moment.
These guys are fighting for racing room all over this speedway, and we're seeing a lot of close calls here in the opening quarter of this race, but somehow they're able to keep it clean, keep it pointed in the right direction, and now Evan DeBullier. Oh, and as soon as I say that, we get one to spin. That is the 6th truck of, who is that just went around? Dylan Kopech just got spun around there. Lots of damage to that machine. I saw another truck there on the outside wall that had some damage as well, so the commentator's curse knocks it out there, I guess. As soon as mentioned that everybody was doing a good job of keeping it straight and keeping it good, we get Dylan Kopech to spin around, and the first caution flag of the night comes out, Paul.
Yeah, and we're going to take a look at the Fatheads eyewear instant replay. You're going to have to look at it from the blimp view here at iRacing Super Speedway. This track is huge. This track is absolutely massive. Lots of action all the way across the racetrack, and 4, 5, 6 different racing grooves, and here you can see it. We're 3 wide pretty much all the way throughout the pack, it looks like. And there you can see Dylan Kopech working that middle line, trying to get up to the Killer Bees on the outside there, the team student drivers. And you can see just gets a little bit of contact there from the 71, shoots him down into the inside wall, and a little bit of calamity that happened up behind him there, trying to get the avoidance from that wreck, but unfortunately a little bit of bumper car action happened. We'll back it up one more time, and there you can see a little bit of a slow motion view. Just kind of pancakes the right side of the truck on the pit wall there on the outside, and backs up on the racing groove. Wyatt Alexander, the 96, does a great job. It looks like there's a little bit of a contact there from the 29 of Jeff Brown, but some damage on the 6 truck. Doesn't look too bad. We're about we're exactly a quarter of the way through the race here at this point, so maybe an opportunity to use that quick repair. Might want to hold on to it for later on in the race. Definitely something to keep an eye on as these drivers, they've got quite a bit of time to think about it. 3-mile racetrack here, the iRacing Super Speedway, so going to take these drivers to get a minute to get them around to that pit road exit entrance there, and we'll see who's going to come down. And it looks like Kyle Casagrande, Jeff Brown, and Dylan Kopech, the only takers down there on pit road. But do want to take just a quick opportunity here to thank everybody over in the social media world, Facebook and YouTube chat. Appears to be pretty active here tonight. Josh Ireland over there in the Facebook chat, the sponsor of tonight's race, J.I.'s Music. Be sure to check him out on Facebook. He's a DJ out of Windham, Maine, and very cool to have him on board, and he's excited to be able to sponsor the race. So check him out, chat him up a little bit in the Facebook chat over on Verdane TV, watching the race here with some of the fans. We got Ryan Ratcliffe is hanging out, cheering on the number 56, and pretty excited that he's on the point right now. Evan Belvedere, as we called him last night, because well, his last name is just really, really hard to say, Kyle.
Always a puzzle to sort out with that one. Looks like we've got some of the drivers involved there coming back onto the racetrack after being on pit road for service. As mentioned, one fast repair in the pits for these drivers, so those involved getting an opportunity to refresh the truck, but that's it for them. They have to stay clean the rest of the way. Any damage that they receive will be carried out throughout the remainder of the race, and it really doesn't take too much, Tim. You get a little bit of damage somewhere on these trucks, very aerodynamic dependent. We haven't been talking about that a whole lot as of late. A lot of short track races here on Verdane TV, but tonight aero means everything.
And you know what? When we look forward to the upcoming schedule, we're going to have a few of those SuperSpeedway races upcoming. We mentioned that we're going to be at Talladega SuperSpeedway for the Shift Marketing and Design Grand National Series for the NEPS deal on Monday. That is the fourth to last race in that series, and points are getting tight between the top two of Ryan Libby and John Peters in that series. And then later on that evening, Sim 500 comes to Verdane TV with the Trans Service Cup Series. The duels at Daytona will be on Monday as well. And then the next week following that will be the Trans Service Cup Series season opener, the 300-miler at Daytona. So there's plenty of racing to come. And obviously, can't forget the Sim 500 Verdane SuperSpeedway Series tomorrow night with the playoffs beginning. So it's SuperSpeedway season, per se, to coin it as a better term, obviously, with Speed Weeks going on. There's plenty of racing to go, but I think the only non-SuperSpeedway race, at least in the near future, besides the RBR series on Tuesday, is going to be tomorrow night's dirt race with TCM. And I know you're digging the dirt cars out for that, aren't you, Kyle?
Well, how can I not? I mean, as an announcer, I don't think I have been able to announce a dirt race here on Verdane TV, but when you present me an opportunity to strap in behind the wheel, especially when it comes at the hand of my beloved dirt street stock, I can't pass up the opportunity. I got to jump in with the TCM guys and sling a little mud around.
And it was your way to lock into the showcase last year as well. A couple of the NEPS drivers, including John Peters, who will start on the outside of row number 1 here, locked in to that race in April. So if you're out there and you want to do some dirt racing with us tomorrow on Verdane TV, get a hold of Tim's Corner Motorsports or shoot Verdane a message, and we'll put you in the right place for tomorrow evening. I hear that Mike James and Dylan Langell are back on the call tomorrow night. So Dylan doesn't have a concert or anything to go to, and I believe Mike James has found his way unconfused from one side of the rock to the other, and he'll be here tomorrow night to call the race. Going to be some great racing action tomorrow night. All the information at timscorner.ca. You can get the information at Verdane TV as well. We'll be on the call tomorrow night, but we've got some racing to accomplish here. Look at those Team Student driver trucks. They stand out on this racetrack. You got Evan Boiler to the inside, the FPY number 51 of John Peters to the outside. Anthony Aiello is back there as well, John Peters' teammate, sitting in position number 5, and then 3 Team Student driver trucks in Uhouse, Gerard, and Mike Hopkins. Going to get ready to see the green flag. The pace car is going to duck off, and Evan Boiler going to start to put the hammer down. Pace speed's at 90, so they're already flying through here. Kyle green flag flies, and Evan is on the hammer, and gets a little help from the 3 in behind at Uhouse.
Oh, nearly some contact there. I think the 51 of John Peters was trying to find a way to get down in line, but just wasn't quite clear enough to be able to do so. He was able to get out of that and avoid a catastrophe. So now it is Evan Bollier on the bottom side with the lead. The 3 student driver trucks lined up right behind him with Uhouse, Gerard, and Michael Hopkins. And then you have, I believe that is Anthony Aiello right behind him, leading the bottom line. Now we're getting a little momentum on the top side with John Peters and Zane Farrell making a charge. They're only able to get up to Brandon Uhouse, second truck in line. That's one of the things. Whoa, Michael Hopkins makes contact with, I think that's the 21 machine. Nearly sent him up into the wall. Close call, but they saved it once again.
I think it was the 71 of Corey Casagrande, and that was the second time in this first 13 laps that he's been sent up the hill, not of his doing. But Kyle, you've driven this iRacing SuperSpeedway before, and you've had some experience in the trucks and the 87 cars and some different cars. With the unrestricted feel on this racetrack, when you go down there on that inside line, it doesn't take much to really upset that car in the draft, does it?
No, it really doesn't. And the way that these corners are designed, they're very abrupt. You have a lot of speed. The banking is huge. So when it's not a very smooth transition like you see at Daytona and Talladega. It's abrupt. And if you mess that line up just a little bit, get a little too close to the apron, you're going to hit that apron a lot, and it's going to get the truck very upset. And especially if you do that leading a line, you're going to set everybody off behind you as well.
You rode on board there with Evan Boiler, and you can kind of see it there. We'll see it coming down into the corner here and see those corners, and it comes up real quick. You can't really see it from that blimp shot, but you can see it from inside the race truck when they go down into the corner. We'll ride with Evan down the back straightaway here. You'll be able to see it down to the corner. He's trying to fend off the Team Student drivers trucks. All four are lined up to the outside. I say all four, they're all going to the outside, but keep an eye here going down to the corner. You can see the banking come right now. You can see the Team Student drivers trucks go by too, but you can see that banking right there, and you saw the truck in front of Evan Boiler kind of get that apron and kind of upset the handling, but we've seen some trucks get that apron, Kyle, and shoot all the way up the racetrack, and if there's somebody on the outside of you, that spells bad news.
It really does. We've seen that a few opportunities already here tonight. Some trucks getting into each other and finding the outside wall. It's only going to wrap up the more laps that we complete here because the aggression level is going to get higher, moves are going to get more daring, and the patience is going to evaporate. And it'll be very interesting to see how these drivers treat the end of this race because, as we mention all the time, this is a team series. It's not necessarily just about an individual run. So do you try to go for the win yourself? Do you try to help out the teammates and make sure you're all finishing around each other? It'll create a very interesting strategic look towards the finish of this race.
Mike Hopkins has been all over that apron all night long, or at least through the first 16 laps of this race. He's going to lose his little touch with his teammates up in front. The 6 of Kopech is going to lead this lap here. John Peters gets that head of steam from the outside, and now we see 3 FPY trucks up here with 3 student driver trucks, and almost a little bit of contact there. Scott McDonald in the 44 up the hill from Anthony Aiello, and McDonald is going to fall back, but John Peters is going to put the team out in front, and now Dylan Kopech trying to find a way around, and Zane Farrell using that outside line. 3 wide stack, 2 deep behind the leader, Peters.
3 distinct lines now starting to really come into play over these last few laps. Very interesting to see that. It's so difficult with this racetrack. With the way that it's designed, if you're running up on the top side of the track, you have to do everything that you can to get your passes completed before you get to the turns. Usually at Daytona and Talladega, if you have enough help on those top side lines, you can make progress during the turns. That's just not possible here. The banking is too steep. The track is too wide for you to really be able to do anything on the outside. If you don't have the help, you do not have any opportunity of making a pass on that top line unless you're doing it on the straightaway.
We're seeing that outside line start to form up one more time, and we get a new player up in front. Charles Lewandowski was up here in the early laps, but now finds his way to second, a race high for the 0-1 of Lewandowski, and just behind them you see the 76 of Kentfield trying to make his way back up here. Led some laps early, 4 wide now, going through the final corner, and almost a little bit of contact as Zane Farrell struck. Got a little light on the back end. Seeing the 12 up here as well. Great to see the great run for Ryan Salvatore. Was quick in practice, but now trying to position himself for at least what would be a top 10 run.
These are starting to settle out just a little bit towards the front of the pack. Now, this shot in the middle of this lead pack is where things are really starting to get racy. Zane Farrell left out on the outside line all by himself. He's going to go to the back, drop down on that 4-truck line that's starting to lead the top side again. There's one of the student driver machines. Michael Hopkins is up there trying to lead, but he doesn't really have a lot of help back there behind him. And it looks like he's just going to drop right back to the FPY trucks that are there at the back of the pack. No, he finds the hole right in front of the 12 machine there of Ryan Salvatore, so he saves himself quite nicely. And that bottom line is starting to become a little bit more predominant after we did see the track start to get really wide and racy for a few lines.
Oh, and they're getting racing once again as the 76 of Kentfield to the back bumper of Charles Lewandowski and tries to get by. And we saw it a few laps ago, but it looks like the Killer Bees have formed once again, and Team Student drivers are working their way back towards the front. Evan Boiler up in front as your leader, but he's seeing a whole lot of black and yellow in behind, and there goes Hopkins down below the yellow line. I don't know if they have a yellow line rule or not, but Hopkins is going to give it a try, and he's going to force the 56 up the racetrack into his teammate, and that's not going to work.
Massive, massive crash. Evan Boiler hard into the outside wall. He collected another one of the student driver trucks that went for a nasty flip there at the top of turn number 3. I've been seeing Hopkins flirt with that apron in the yellow line a lot throughout this race, Tim. He just full-blown went for it right there. And, well, I guess for him it worked, but he also wiped out one of his teammates in pretty dramatic fashion.
Yeah, we'll send it down to Paul Strickland Jr. with that instant replay. And, Paul, I think it would have worked. It looked like Evan gave him a little bit of room down into the corner, but Hopkins just got that apron one more time.
Yeah, Hopkins definitely flirting with disaster on the bottom side of that apron all race long. Here you can see him, no difference. It goes down below, and as he comes back into the track, just gets into the 56, gets into Evan Bouliar, and just kind of sends him up into the outside wall. A couple of trucks involved as well. Definitely a tough break. Here you can see it a little bit slow motion. We'll change the view up just a bit, and you can see down below that yellow line, comes back up just in time, well, just a little bit too late it looks like, and there you can see slides up into the 56, who gets into Kopech there. Immediately black smoke coming out of the bottom of that 6 truck, so that truck, he's going to have to try and get that thing down on pit road, maybe use his quick repair and get that thing back out on track. But 4 or 5 trucks here involved in this one, and definitely not what you want to see here at iRacing SuperSpeedway. We'll take one more quick look at it here. You can see down low on the apron, comes back up. There is the 56 and the 6. Running that middle and the top, and just gives him a little bit of a boop ski and shoots him on up into the wall. And, man, it's a big, hard hit for the 6 car, and he gets another shot there from the 7 of Corey Casagrande. Just kind of sends him in there, man. Just Michael Hopkins giving her just a little bit too hard there, Tim.
Yeah, and I'm not sure what the yellow line rule is here. Obviously, if you're new to Vidane TV and you watch the NASCAR Cup Series in the top 3 divisions, they have a yellow line rule. And Kyle, I don't know what the yellow line rule is here, but the field's going to come down onto pit road and get service. I think it's probably going to end the night of at least Matt Kenfield and Dylan Kopech, because I believe they used their quick repair on that first caution flag we had just past lap number 10. So I think it may end the night for those two. Evan Boiler is also sitting on pit road in the 56, but Hopkins in the 79 is not going to be the first off of pit road. It's going to be Charles Lewandowski and Ryan Salvatore, your top 2. I didn't see their pit stops, Kyle. I would think they either did fuel only or 2 tires.
Yeah, seeing a lot of different strategies going on here on pit road. You saw some of those drivers there that are taking tires. Some jacks were going up, other trucks leaving very early and not doing the same. So a wide variety of pit strategies going on here just beyond the halfway mark of this race. I want to go back and revisit the yellow line discussion here, Tim. I think, as you did a great job of explaining with the NASCAR side of things, that yes, there is a yellow line rule. You're not allowed to pass down there. It's pretty self-explanatory. The interesting thing is when it comes to iRacing, and at least how iRacing has it marked down in their sporting code, is that there is no yellow line rule, at least on the straightaways. You can't do it in the turns, but you can do it on the straightaways so long as you don't cause a crash. Now, of course, this is a private league. They have the opportunity to do whatever that they want to with their rules. They can incorporate iRacing's rule. They can incorporate NASCAR's rule. But that is at least how iRacing does it in their sporting code and for their official series. And judged off of how I don't see anything in the server chat from Race Control penalizing the 79 of Michael Hopkins, kind of makes me feel like that's a legal move.
And you mentioned the leagues and the private leagues as the lights are off atop the pace car. Different leagues have different rules, so it's not necessarily by the iRacing sporting code as to what they would do. Obviously, you think of official races, the NASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series last year, their opener Daytona had Keegan Leahy go to that yellow line down below and was able to take the victory. But as you mentioned in that sporting code, it is completely legal. Different leagues have different rules, and I would say by what you had recapped, the looks of it, there is no penalty assessed. So I think we are good to go on that. Hopkins will restart position number 3 with Lewandowski and Salvatore up in front. Peters, Casagrande, Kyle Casagrande, your top 5. Anthony Aiello, Zane Farrell, Kenny Kibbe, Brandon Newhouse, and Jeff Brown, your top 10. And we had 3 drivers that were at the back of the field that had to get quick repairs or get fast tows, I should say, back to pit road. I think Kenfield's truck looks good, so he might not have used a quick repair on the first caution. Evan Boiler is back on the racetrack. Dylan Kopech is still sitting on pit road with a mangled race truck. So I think Kopech is the only one of those 3 that were involved in that had to take that tow back to pit road that is probably going to be done for the evening.
Yeah, you can see that number 6 machine sitting there right now on pit road, and that puts a little bit of pressure on the remaining drivers for Team Student Driver, because they know now that Dylan Kopech is going to be their unscored truck. So everybody else, they now realize that they have to hold the weight, they have to continue being strong, and they have to get themselves up front, because if any one of them has an issue from this point on, their points will count if they finish towards the back. The green flag will fly, 17 laps remaining. Charles Lewandowski currently in the race lead. Ryan Salvatore leads the top side with John Peters right behind him. Michael Hopkins, the second truck in line on that bottom line, but keep your eye on Kyle Casagrande. He's looking to take that away going into turn number 1. Doesn't have the run and will fall back in line.
These trucks still getting up to speed with this massive super speedway. It takes them about a half lap or so to at least get up to full song, as they're 200 plus miles an hour down the back straightaway now. The 12 of Salvatore to the outside with a little push from John Peters, and in behind him his teammate Anthony Aiello. That inside line being pushed by it looks like Hopkins, and Lewandowski got a little squirrely that time on the back straightaway with that shove, but everybody gets through corner number 3. They come up out of corner number 4 this time. The inside line going to have that advantage, but look at that outside line trying to take that away, but got a couple of teammates now on the inside. Zane Farrell, Corey Casagrande trying to bring it towards the front of that number 71. So starting to see some teammates again get hooked up.
The teammate factor starting to become another major role in this race, and as we continue to wind down towards the end, I have a feeling that is just going to become more and more prominent. Ryan Salvatore there trying to make something happen on that top side. That outside line not as organized as what the bottom is, and now I think that's Zane Farrell who just shot up towards the top lane. He does not have any help, so he's trying to do a little side drafting there with Kyle Casagrande, finding a little bit of success actually as he pulls even with that 7 truck, but Brandon Newhouse ditches him. He goes down to the bottom. John Peters will help out Zane Farrell going down the back straightaway. Those two drivers saw a lot of each other last night. They're working with each other here a little bit tonight, way up by the outside wall, but those bottom line trucks, there's about 6 of them down there. They're just no match for what they've got up top right now.
The 7 of Kyle Casagrande looked to get to the inside, but the 3 of Uhouse was there, so that inside line continues to occupy the top 2, make it top 3 positions as Uhouse gets that run, trying to catch his teammate Mike Hopkins. Charles Lewandowski in the 0-1 continues to lead, but now Casagrande works the outside. That is Kyle Casagrande in the 7, with Zane Farrell giving him a little bit of a shove, but they're the only 2 trucks on the outside right now, Kyle, so what was a multi-groove, 2 and 3 wide, has now got back to 1 and potentially 2, as there's only really 2 trucks on that outside, plus a couple there at the back trying to make their way up, but it'll take them a couple laps. Charles Lewandowski will enjoy that inside as you ride on board with Zane Farrell, giving that 7 a little bit of a shove.
I think right now this is a great time for these guys to start experimenting. You're getting down towards the end of the race, not a lot of pressure yet to make the right moves, but now is a good time to start figuring things out. How does that outside line work with this many trucks or that many trucks in them? Where on this outside line do we need to run? You're seeing these guys, they're getting up close to that safer barrier. Sometimes they've been down towards the middle of the racetrack, maybe trying to get a side draft off the trucks on the bottom. Lots of different things going on right here to set themselves up for the finish. And I gotta be honest, from what I can tell, it seems like the Team Student Driver trio has been the best organized team thus far. Everybody else kind of seems to be scattered around with each other and just working with whoever they can.
Team Student Driver right now set to gain a lot of points if they finish the way they are, but we've seen some issues already today with one of them sitting on pit road with Dylan Kopech out of this race. So they've got to kind of conserve the bullets in the chamber as they start to get racy once again. Evan Boyler almost looked to the inside, and here comes Kentfield, but Kentfield is all by himself in that shift marketing and design number 76. He will pick up a spot. Oh, and here comes Corey Casagrande. The door nearly shut. They're 3 wide.
Great middle to bottom switch for Zane Farrell. He gets underneath of Kyle Casagrande for the race lead. He's going to bring Charles Lewandowski with him, and then the Team Student Driver trio falls in line behind. Hang on, a couple rough little bump traps there. Creates another line. Charles Lewandowski and Brandon Newhouse go to the top. Lewandowski's trying to fit in, but Michael Hopkins fills the void. 3 wide for position number 2. Nearly 3 wide for the lead. Almost contact with Lewandowski and Casagrande.
And Kentfield up in the safer barrier. He continues on, but we stay green, and he's going to lose that draft and have a little bit of damage to that number 76. Tough break after running so strong here this evening, and there's a shot of that 76 at Kentfield near the back of the pack now, but he was one lap down. Fighting for that free pass, Evan Boiler, keep in mind the 56 that's up here in this lead draft, he is one lap down, and right now, Kyle, in position for the free pass if we were to get a caution flag. We'll come by this time and have 11 laps to go.
So now the top 3 trucks running on the bottom line. Your leader for the top side is that 71 of Corey Casagrande. Make that now 3 wide for position number 4. Casagrande got sent to the very outside. Evan Bollier sticks his way through in the middle, takes John Peters and Kyle Casagrande with him. Ryan Salvatore filling in behind the team student driver trio down there on the bottom side of the racetrack, and things start to relax just a little bit coming down the back straightaway. You see when these drivers get these big runs, they take them. They start doing things with these runs, and then they get separated out a little bit. They break the pack up, and they kind of relax, rebuild those runs, and go back at it to racing. 10 laps to go when they come to the stripe this time by. Things starting to calm down just a little bit, but don't get too comfortable with that. It's going to get very wild here in the final quarter of this race.
Yeah, we haven't seen the end of the action as of yet. Zane Farrell will lead, and there goes the 56 of Evan Boiler to the outside, trying to earn his lap back the hard way. But we saw Zane Farrell last night at Myrtle Beach darn near win himself a race, and a couple of restarts at the end and a couple of green-white checkers. It went the way of John Peters. So now Zane trying to put that behind him and get to victory lane. He's had a couple of good runs here on Verdane TV as of late, but wants to seal that deal with a checkered flag here at the SuperSpeedway and give him a good shot of momentum into the weekend. But it's now Farrell, Lewandowski, and then a couple of those team student driver trucks getting lined up in behind, 3 strong from 3rd back to 5th, led by Hopkins.
Single file through the whole field now, running right around the bottom of the racetrack. Zane Farrell in control in position number 1, but he doesn't really have too many teammates behind him right now. He's got Charles Lewandowski, then the team student driver trio, and I think it doesn't go all the way back until, well, really, actually, now that I look through the field, I believe Zane Farrell might be the only driver in his team in this lead pack. You have to go all the way back to Corey Casagrande in position number 10 for him to find a teammate.
Yeah, and Corey is 2 seconds in behind, so they're still a part of the lead draft, but they are kind of disconnected, if that makes sense, at the same time. And then 2 teammates up on the outside in the 4 of Kenny Kibbe and the 9 of Jason Ricker as we come by this time, complete lap number 32. And you can kind of see those 4 or 5 at the back kind of disconnected a little bit from the rest of the pack. And the only distinct, really, second pack or third pack, whatever you want to call it, is we got 3 trucks drafting back there in Bulky, Alexander, and Brent Roy, about 13 seconds off the pack. But the lead draft, as we see here on our screen, is the one that, if this stays green, Kyle, is going to decide the win here, and Zane Farrell currently in control.
And with this staying green, you know it's just eating away at Evan Bollier, who's currently in the free pass position. All he needs is a caution to get back on the lead lap, and he's running, 7th place in line right now in this lead pack. If he can get that caution, that 7th place will actually mean a 7th place finish. He's not able to do that right now. He's in position number 18, despite running up in this lead pack. His opportunity to do that is slowly dwindling away. 7 laps to go now, and we got a little bit of action going on the outside line of this racetrack. Kyle Casagrande hops up there, and Bollier is going to go with him. Just because Evan Bollier is a lap down does not mean that he won't have an impact on this race.
He can definitely help somebody get to the front of the field, or help some teammates potentially get to the front of the field, as Casagrande going to try to lead that outside line and starting to make some inroads. Look at the run that he and Boiler have, and those 2 trucks to the inside, Lewandowski and Hopkins, kind of drifted up the racetrack a little bit on the entrance of turn number 3, but the run that they're getting on the outside line starting to show a little bit. Ryan Salvatore trying to hop up there as well. Farrell will lead lap number 34, but we've still got some laps to go, and the outside line starting to get some momentum.
Start to widen those laps down, and things get a little more racier. Kyle Casagrande in that 7 truck starting to make some progress working through the field, and he's got help. Evan Bollier is back there. Ryan Salvatore is there. John Peters and Anthony Aiello are also up there. They got a little disorganized going down the back straightaway at that time. They're starting to reorganize that as they get ready to come into turn number 3 here. But they want to race. They want an opportunity to better their teams, and look at them get scattered all over the place going into turn number 3. That one truck down there on the bottom got onto the apron, and everybody had to react to stay off of him. Splits things up a little bit. How about Charles Lewandowski juking Zane Farrell out to take over the race lead on the bottom side of the racetrack? Farrell drops back to at least 4th place right off the bat. Here comes Kyle Casagrande with a huge bump draft, gets him some momentum, and he's going to stay side by side for 3rd with Brandon Newhouse.
And just like that, Zane Farrell going to fall back through this pack, and he's going to fall in behind the Team Student Drivers trucks, and I believe the 31 of Aiello going to go to the outside. John Peters we saw some issues last night with a little bit of in and out warp with that number 51 truck, Kyle, and it looks like it's returned again as there was almost a moment between himself and the 14 of Zane Farrell. Farrell still on the outside line, but he doesn't have a ton of help.
4 laps of racing left to go, 12 more miles remaining. And now the Team Student Driver trio jumps to the top side of the racetrack. They've been riding around down on the bottom for the entirety of this race. Now they jump to the top side to try to move themselves into the race lead. They got 2 of them down there, but DJ Gerard is hung out to dry, and that will split that group up. Now they're all over the racetrack trying to get back in line and trying to figure something out. Looks like the 79 of Hopkins is trying to drop back and grab Newhouse, but Charles Lewandowski gets to the bottom. Kyle Casagrande goes into the wall, comes back down the field, and we've got trucks spinning all over the entry to turn number 3, and now a secondary spin. Michael Hopkins gets turned, collects another truck or 2, and the caution flag flies with 3.5 laps to go.
And you know what, Kyle? That was almost 2 separate incidents. Well, it was 2 separate incidents. Casagrande up in the middle of the pack, and then as that was happening, they came together up in front with Zane Farrell and the leader, the 3 of U-House. Paul Strickland Jr., I know you're down there. You've got a lot to dissect because those 2 incidents happened at the same time. Then Hopkins gets turned at the end. Try to make sense of this all.
Hiya, Zeus Marimba. We're going to have to take a look at this Fatheads Eyewear instant replay from the chopper because there's a lot of action. There you see a lap truck coming on to the racetrack after he comes out of pit road. It didn't catch the number on that truck, but take a look at this. Lewandowski looks down low. He's right on that yellow line. 2 wide for the lead. Casagrande gets a little bit of a boopski from one of the Team Student Drivers. He collects the 9 truck, sends him on down the way there. There you see Matt Kenfield. He was back a little ways. Couple of other trucks involved here, and we're trying to just get it's tough to see with everything getting all kind of scrambled up with the different running, but here's a great shot here from the drone camera of the race leader at the time, the number 3 of Brandon Newhouse, that Team Student Driver. There you see Lewandowski dipping on down low, trying to get around. The 14 gets a little bit of a bump to the 3 car, sends him on around, and it looks like Lewandowski was able to hold on to it for a second, but as we saw, the 01 truck, well, he is still the leader right now, so he was able to hold on to it. Take a look at it one more time again from the chopper in a little bit slow motion. There you see, bam, 7 truck hits that outside wall, bounces on the inside of the 9 truck. There you see, great save from the 01 of Charles Lewandowski. That truck was wrecked 6 or 7 different times in directions. There you see he gets into the 19, a little bit of a connection issue there, but he bounces right back, and looks like he ends up 3rd in line, and I might have done a couple of pit stops there that put him back into that 3rd position, but holy moly, we're going to set this up for a green-white checkered attempt here at iRacing Super Speedway. 3 laps at 3 miles apiece, that's 9 miles of racing. Anything can happen. Any of these lead lap trucks can win this race here.
And Kyle, when we look at the standings, they're going to change a little bit, but one small little pinpoint, Evan Boiler did get the free pass in this caution flag, albeit he'll have a green-white checker to finish it out, or at up to 3 attempts at a green-white checker to finish this one out. It's a 3-mile racetrack. That's a lot can happen in 1 lap, but Boiler's going to be back on the lead lap. It's going to put the Wyatt Alexander, Brent Roy, Scott McDonald combination that was behind there, Jeff Brown back there as well, that we're kind of hanging off this lead pack. Going to give them an opportunity to get up front. And we got some damaged race trucks up in front. You can see, especially on the right-hand side of that Charles Lewandowski truck, and on that right rear, you'll see it going down to the corner here. It's bent up. I don't know how that's going to affect him in the draft. I would think it's going to definitely slow him down a little bit. Zane Farrell's kind of had that damage on the right-hand side for most of this race. Then you got Joe Peters back there, DJ Gerard, and Kenny Kibbe as your top 5.
Yeah, looking through the top 5 here myself, Tim, I think the first driver that doesn't have any damage is the 4 truck of Kenny Kibbe. There's a name we haven't talked about too much here throughout this event. He's got a clean truck up in the top 5 when it matters most, so maybe he can make a little noise here on this first attempt of a green and white checkered 4 wide weaponry. This is going to be insanely intense. Anytime you get a green white checker finish on a super speedway, things get very crazy. We've seen some great racing throughout this event already. Things got a little wild there just a few moments ago, and now you only have 2 laps to make it around this racetrack and try to put yourself... Oh, are we crashing under caution? Did I just see that correctly?
I believe that we are. That is the 71 of Corey Casagrande that is around, and it's going to stack up the back of the field, but 3-mile racetrack, they got plenty of time, and just looks like he loses it right there and collects a couple of trucks. U-House getting some damage from it, and we'll motor back on. The teammates back there having a little bit of issue, but we're going to get ready to go back to green, white checker, but it's a 3-mile racetrack. There's a lot that could happen. Keep in mind, we do have up to 2 more attempts after this at a green, white checker if we need it.
And we're going to have to wait on that green and white checker just a few more moments because that incident there going into turn number 1 did extend this caution period. So we were supposed to go green flag this time by. That is not going to be the case. We'll go 1 more lap, and then we will see the green flag hit the air. So this will be the completion of regulation at the line this time by. So if we can get it done in the first attempt at an overtime finish, we're looking at a 43-lap event here to close out the penultimate race of this series. I believe Paul was telling us just before we jumped onto the air that the season finale will be taking place next week at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. What a great racetrack that'll be to settle a championship fight, just like what they used to do back in the 90s in the real world NASCAR.
And you go from a road course to a super speedway to Atlanta, the 1.5 miles. With this, the way this whole series was set up with the teams, the draft, the racetracks, it's really a great combination. The NEPS guys did a great job putting this thing together, but we'll put together a green-white checker next time by. We'll restart them, and they'll go essentially 3 laps past the scheduled distance, scheduled for 40. We're going to score 43 when this thing is all said and done, if this is the only green-white checker attempt. Lewandowski and Farrell on the front row. Farrell in a position that he was in on Thursday night, trying to pick up a win and on the front row, and got the best of John Peters on 1 restart. It essentially got taken back after a wreck in behind them, and John Peters ends up going to victory lane. And oh, by the way, last night's winner sits in position number 3. So almost the same story as it was last night. Kyle with some of those drivers up in front, but Charles Lewandowski trying to play a little spoiler here.
That he is. He's done a great job thus far. He's been a prominent factor up at the front of the field here in this event. Now he's just trying to cap it off and see what he can do to go to victory lane and hope that everything behind him works out the way that it needs to, and his team can get a victory here as well. So let's line it up for you. This is how we're going to take our first green-white checkered attempt. Charles Lewandowski and Zane Farrell are on your front row in positions 1 and 2. Then we have John Peters and DJ Gerard, 3rd and 4th. Anthony Aiello and Kenny Kibbe make up row number 3 and 5th and 6th. 7th and 8th place, Austin Bulkey, who we haven't mentioned much about. Tim had said during that last green flag run, he was one of those trucks that was way off of the field, about 13 seconds back. He now has an opportunity to compete. Ryan Salvatore is 8th. Brandon Newhouse is a 9th. And Scott McDonald completes your top 10 in truck number 44. Let's see what we can do here. First attempt at a green-white checkered finish here at the iRacing Superspeedway. Lewandowski, Farrell, your front row, getting ready for the drop of the green flag. There it is. We are back to racing. Everybody on the loud pedal trying to get up through the gears, get up to speed, and see what they can do in the draft to finish this one off.
Farrell going to get the advantage on the outside. The 13 of DJ Gerard going to give him a push to turn number 1. The 51 of John Peters in behind Charles Lewandowski. And look at the run that Aiello gets, and look at the run that Kenny Kibbe gets. We're going to go 3 wide around that middle pack. And the 4, Kenny Kibbe running out of room. Zane Farrell gets turned, and that's going to bring out the yellow flag. Oh, tough break for Zane Farrell, hard into the inside. I think Evan Boiler went by there with a smoking motor too.
Yeah, I think that was Boiler who just got into the right rear corner panel of Kenny Kibbe there and sent him spinning around like a top. So, oh man, what a huge mess here on the back straightaway. We knew things were going to get aggressive and things were going to get wild here on these green and white checker finishes, Paul, and it didn't take long for that to happen.
You are exactly right. And tonight's race sponsor, Josh Ireland, hanging out in the Facebook chat, pretty much called it about 10 laps ago. Business is about to pick up, and business has picked up indeed. Here you can see 3 wide for the top 5 position there. Zane Farrell dropping back just a little bit. Tries to go on the outside. The 4 truck was there, and there we go. The big hit from the 4 car and their truck rather. There you see black smoke coming out of the back of it. A student driver heading on down to the inside wall, and lots of damaged trucks here. The black and green truck there pointed in the wrong direction, trying to get that thing going the right way. And man, oh man, a tough break for a lot of these drivers, because it's green white checkered attempt. You feel like you've got an opportunity to really make something happen, and one of these big wrecks happened. We'll take another quick look at it here. Focus in on the 4 truck there, 3rd on the inside line. There you can see it. 13 of Gerard, I believe, on the inside, or inside of 3 wide. The 31 up on the top side, and a little bit of contact here, and there you can see it. Zane and the 31 truck, Viello, just makes some contact, comes back down low into the 13 and the 2 and the 4, and a couple of trucks just trying to take that same piece of real estate, and unfortunately tough to do. It's not actually physically possible to have 2 different solid objects occupy that same piece of real estate. So lots of black smoke here, lots of pent up sheet metals, couple of blown motors, it looks like. Gonna give us another attempt at a green white checker. Charles Lewandowski, John Peters, the champ up front. Let's see what we got here, Kyle.
Some trucks making their way down onto pit road here. Charles Lewandowski, John Peters, Anthony Aiello are on pit road. We also have the 76 of Matt Kentfield, the 71 of Corey Casagrande, Kenny Kibbe in the 4. So some trucks coming down, obviously to get some crash damage repaired, maybe get a splash of fuel or 2, depending on how that is. And look who just so happens to take over the top 2 spots here, Tim. Couple of the BBY drivers who are hanging out at the back of the field, Austin Bolke and Brent Roy.
You would almost think that those 2 trucks that came down pit road, though, Lewandowski and Peters, may be a little short for maybe 1 more or 2 more green white checker finishes. It might be smart in their book, but you look at those 2 up in front. You got Mike Hopkins, you got Wyatt Alexander, you got Scott McDonald that stayed out, Jeff Brown, and then John Peters and the rest of the field in the way. Those guys from behind were able to get the momentum. If you're John Peters and you came down pit road, you're still very well into this thing. And I was actually surprised the momentum the guys like Kenny Kibbe got on that restart to get up there and battle with these guys up in front. So still anybody's race, but 2 drivers we haven't really spoke about all night long, Austin Bolke and Brent Roy, the 2 BBY trucks, are up in front with Mike Hopkins, who's ran up there for most of this evening, sitting in position number 3, albeit he's got a little damage to the tailgate of that race truck. Wyatt Alexander for 4 wide weaponry is up there as well, as is Scott McDonald. But I think this ends the night for Kyle Casagrande. I think it ends the night for Evan Boiler in the 56. He's already used a quick repair. Zane Farrell is still sitting on pit road. We got a couple of drivers that are going to be out of this one a couple of laps early at this iRacing SuperSpeedway in the JI Music 120. So there's still plenty of we've still got potentially 1 more green white checker after this if we don't have to get there. But let's focus on the task at hand first. Lights are out atop the pace car. We'll go green next time by.
Indeed, we will. So we're going to get everybody lined up and rocking and rolling here. It'll be Austin Bolke and Brent Rowe, your top 2 drivers. Those 2 trucks are teammates trying to put BBY in the victory circle here tonight. Then you have a team student driver machine of Michael Hopkins in 3rd, 4 wide weaponries. Wyatt Alexander is in 4th. And Scott McDonald for FPY Motorsports in position number 5. Jeff Brown is in 6th. John Peters 7th. Anthony Aiello 8th. Charles Lewandowski 9th. And Kenny Kibbe going to complete your top 10 for this shuffle of a green-white checkered finish. We are now looking at 47 laps, the distance here for this event.
Just a quick update from the infield care center. The 56, Evan Bullier, or Belvedere as we called him last night, checked and released. He's okay, just a little bit dizzy and a little bit irritated at the sponsor for calling him out, letting him know that he thought he was going to win. Just jinxed him a little bit. So Evan doing okay, a little bit frustrated after being wrecked here at the iRacing SuperSpeedway, but hanging out in the Facebook chat, watching the rest of this race here on Vidane TV.
And the one thing that I'm seeing as well, and we talk about that team dynamic as we get ready to come back to green, we saw Team Student Driver be so dominant early in this race with 4 trucks up there. 2 of them are now sitting on pit road. You got 2 Team BBY trucks up here. You got a couple of the 4Y weaponry guys, a couple of the FPY guys. So this could very well go anyway when it not only comes to this race win, but also for the overall team win going in to that season finale. Look at Bulky already gone. Green flag flies. We are back underway. And Alexander tucked up tight to the back bumper of that 26 of Roy as they will draft down the front straightaway into corner number 1.
Great strategy by those BBY trucks. Bulky went early so he could slide up and get in front of his teammate Brent Roy. They left a lot of bottom open coming into turn number 1 there, but everybody behind them stayed in line, and they're able to get down to the bottom side of the track before anybody else can. It's a 4-truck pack at the beginning of the field. Looks like Scott McDonald is just trying to hang on and make it a 5-truck pack, and then they are side by side from 6th on back trying to race it out.
I would be quite concerned with 6 on back right now if I'm those 2 leaders, because they are going to get ahead of steam here, but they are running quickly at a time, but they got plenty of racetrack to get it done. Brent Roy trying to go to the outside with a little help from Wyatt Alexander. They might not be teammates on this racetrack, but from Maine and the east coast of Canada, they definitely got a connection. White flag flies. Bulky falls out of that little draft a little bit. There's your top 2 away from the rest of the field. Did Bulky run out of fuel?
I'm wondering if maybe that's the case, because he didn't just fall off the lead pack because of draft. He's completely off the pace and down on the apron in turns 1 and 2, so he is totally eliminated from contention. 1 truck sideways down on the apron on the backstretch. It's Scott McDonald. He almost saves it, but he comes up and takes out the 13 machine of DJ Gerard. Gerard will spin off the racetrack. White flag, no cautions, so we're going all the way to the finish. Brent Roy, Wyatt Alexander, bumper to bumper, coming into turn number 3. Here comes Charles Lewandowski. Look at how aggressive he is on the bump drafting, shoving the 96 all over the racetrack, but it's going to be for naught. Down the front straightaway, here comes Wyatt Alexander to the outside. Will he get Brent Roy? He will not. Brent Roy narrowly edges out Wyatt Alexander by 19 thousandths of a second to go to victory lane here at the iRacing SuperSpeedway. How about that, Tim? They were all lined up coming off of turn number 4. They fanned out all across this racetrack, and in a photo finish, Brent Roy goes to victory lane for BBY.
And I could be wrong. This should be his first NEPS victory of his career, and the Canadian driver going to celebrate a win. Wyatt Alexander 2nd, Charles Lewandowski in a 3rd, Kenny Kibbe, Mike Hopkins, who led some laps early, ran up front, your top 5. Peters, Ricker, Aiello, McDonald, and looks like Brown, your top 10. Austin Bulky runs out of fuel, finishes. It looks like it's going to be the first driver 1 lap down in position number 12 and behind Corey Casagrande, Gerard, Salvatore, Kentfield, Boiler, Farrell, Uhouse, Casagrande, and Kopech, your field. But big win for Brent Roy. I'm sure Max and Shauna are watching, and everybody that's on the Roy camp, and he's driving a Chevrolet tonight, Kyle, but the Camry kid, I think, is going to do some celebrating here.
And what a turn of events for Brent Roy. With a few laps to go in this race, he was nowhere close to the lead pack or even had an opportunity to win this race. But that 1 caution flag for that incident coming into turn number 3 changed the entire complexion of this race. He has the opportunity to come back together with the entire field. He misses the wreck on the initial green-white checkered finish, stays out on the racetrack, takes the race lead on the penultimate lap of the race, and is able to hold off Wyatt Alexander in one of the most incredible finishes that we have seen here on Vidane TV history to take the victory. All sorts of donuts and tire smoke going up into the atmosphere here from the driver of that number 26 machine. Oh my goodness, what a finish. And now that he has calmed down a little bit and has, well, I thought he was going to stop. I guess we're going to do a mid-donut interview. Why not, right? Brent Roy, my man, what a finish. You go to victory lane tonight at iRacing SuperSpeedway, and I was just mentioning the insane change of events for you in this race. With about 4 laps to go, you were nowhere close to the lead pack, and with how things change and as wild as SuperSpeedway racing is, you go to victory lane.
Yeah, I mean, I owe a lot to Wyatt there. He, stuck on the bumper, the 26 Recar Chevrolet. Kind of weird to say Chevrolet, but and Austin there on the restart did pretty good to get us lined up. Unfortunately, he was a little bit shy on fuel, so couldn't get a 1-2 for the team. But pretty cool to kind of get a win at one of these NEP races. These guys are they're tough, man. It's hard to get one of these, so. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
So I will take that as a confirmation for what Tim just said. This is career win number 1 for you in the New England, Pennsylvania group.
Absolutely. Across this or the Grand National Series, this is the first time we put the 26, truck in this case, to victory lane, and pretty happy to do so because, like I said, these guys are they're a tough group, and super speedway racing is. Man, it's just wild. Like, you just don't know until you come out of turn 4, and it's like, okay, do I have a shot or not? And then you still don't know until you cross the line. So that's what makes it fun.
Well, I was just going to say, as you guys came off of turn number 4, everybody was lined up, and in my mind, that was it. The race was over. You had the win. But out of nowhere, here comes Wyatt Alexander shooting to the top side, and he just about got you. You only held on by 19 thousandths of a second.
Yeah, I saw him shoot out there, and I moved up to try to block, and then he got to the corner, and I was like, well, we can either pile them all on the fence here or give him the lane and hope I just get him to the line. And luckily, we were able to do that. But I owe him a big thank you because he had that Tundra shoved on the fuel cell for the last 2 laps, and made it a pretty good show.
It absolutely was a good show. You get the benefit of it to victory lane for the first time with the New England, Pennsylvania group. Who would you like to thank for it?
Well, it's pretty cool to have an actual real life thing on one of the vehicles. So we have Recar. That's my employer on Monday to Friday or Saturdays too. And so Recar is big thanks there. The whole BBY team, me and Austin, were again the only 2 of the 4 flying the flag tonight. The other guys, I think, couldn't find directions to iRacing Super Speedway. They're not sure which state it's in. I think I'm not sure, but big thanks to Austin, and big thanks to 4 Wide Weaponry. They helped us out a little bit there, a little bit of a connection over from the Grand National side with Wyatt and the boys from Maine. So you can't do it by yourself at a super speedway, but got to thank all those guys.
Your winner tonight at the iRacing Super Speedway, his first career victory with the New England, Pennsylvania iRacing League, Brent Roy, in dramatic fashion. Photo finish over Wyatt Alexander. And speaking of Wyatt, we will turn things over to Tim Terry, who has caught up with him, and we'll get the other side of that dramatic photo finish.
Well, Wyatt, you're on the opposite side of the checkered flag, finishing second, 19 thousandths of a second. Talk about trying to set up that pass. What did you need to do differently to try to be on the other side and take that checkered flag first?
Well, yeah, that was a lot of fun, really. I was pretty committed to pushing Brent. I didn't have any intentions of hanging him out to dry. And then once I knew the other guys didn't have a run coming, I figured I'd at least put it out there and make it exciting and see what could happen. But I thought, we were going to be 2x2 tandem drafting all the way to the end. So I was just going to stick it in the fuel cell. But he and I kind of cleared Chalu and whoever else. And I figured, well, I'll stick it out there and at least give him something to talk about. So it was a good finish. That was, he thought I was going to get him, and I didn't think I was going to get that close. So that was a lot of fun.
You talked about giving us something to talk about, but early in the race, we never really spoke about you, Brent, and a couple of others there that kind of hung out near the back of the field. Talk about that strategy coming in and what precipitated that.
Yeah, well, we were looking at only having one quick repair, and that was kind of the driving factor. We hung out pretty far out back, and we pretty much knew that there was going to be a yellow within the last handful. We knew there was going to be a green-white checker, whether that meant there was a yellow with a couple to go or coming to the white. We knew that something was going to happen. So we stayed pretty loyal to that, and it actually worked out. At one point there, we were way back, and we thought that we might be in trouble. Me and Austin Bulkey actually kind of hung back to pick Brent up back out of the draft. And so we were a bit nervous. Brent and I both got a little damage at one point, and we just did optional repairs to try and save the quick repair. And then once we got it, we had clean trucks, so we could kind of charge to the front.
So we'll load the virtual haulers up and we'll head to another Super Speedway after the weekend at Talladega for the Shift Marketing and Design Grand National Series. Is there anything that you can take from here, whether it's in the notebook of how other drivers race or who you can work with or what have you, to Monday night's race?
Yeah, potentially. I usually do better on the super speedways. I've been okay on the super speedways on iRacing, and it's a lot of fun. I guess we need to run trucks next season for me, because we've had 5 races with these trucks, and I think I finished in the top 3-4 times and 5th another time. So apparently I'm way better in the trucks than those darn NEP cars, but because I don't have so much good luck over there. But yeah, I think it'll be fun. Obviously, the super speedways are a wild card. I'm kind of floating around like 9th in points, so it's not that critical for me. So that'll be one I'd like to try and win and try and go to the front. So I think it'll be fun. But yeah, we can take something out of this for sure.
And of course, one more in the trucks coming up next Friday night. Who do you got on the side of this race truck? Who do you want to thank for the second place run?
Well, 4-wide weaponry for sure. Jason and Sal and Kenny. We've been pretty strong as a team. It was cool to work with Brent and Austin in this round for sure. But I mean, the 4 of us as a group, we've been pretty strong. I think we've won every round except one, and we finished second in that round or something. So it'd be cool if we could kind of cap this off, because it's been a lot of fun with those guys. It's really worked good. So yeah, those guys and just everybody for watching. Thanks to you guys for putting this on. Shift Marketing Designs for sponsoring the NEP deal. Zane, Corey, everybody. Tim, Paul, Kyle, thank you. And a lot of fun. This is the one where we get to drink beer and hang out. So this is pretty cool.
And I'm sure after that finish, there's going to be plenty of beer to drink. Wyatt Alexander comes home in second, and Kyle, great run for Chalou, finishes in position number 3.
Yeah, without a doubt, Charles Lewandowski, our third place finisher tonight. Charles, you ran yourself a great race tonight. You were in the mix all the way through, showed a lot of speed, wasn't able to get the victory tonight, but still a very good finish for you.
Yeah, thanks, guys. It was a good night. We had a pretty good truck. We had a good team strategy, worked well together, and which didn't really play out. It's hard to make it play out at places like this, but yeah, we were fast and we pitted late, and we're the fuel mileage game. We were ahead of it at one point, and we were behind at the end and had to pit, and got us behind a little bit, but finished top 3. We're not thrilled with that. We wanted to win, but good night for us.
Throughout this race, we saw a lot of aggression throughout the field, and we saw a little aggression on your part tonight as well. Talk us through some of that. How was it trying to manage the aggression and keep yourself in position, but also trying to make sure that you weren't making the wrong moves and taking yourself out of the race?
Yeah, when Evan and I were up front, and Matty Kentfield, we worked really well together, but it was tough. Those were teammates of mine, of course, so it's a little easier. But it, when Hopkins was behind me, we ran well together. But it's hard because you got to play a game of seeing a hole and going for it, and not losing a run, but realizing how many laps to go. And I made one big move there that I don't think caused the wreck, but it certainly didn't help it. But you just gotta time it. It's all timing.
So it sounds like next week we will cap the season off the way that NASCAR used to do back in the 90s at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. How do we feel going into that one? A wide variety of racetracks throughout this series, and we see another dramatic change going from a 3-mile super speedway to a 1.5-mile speedway that is very racy, very worn out, very challenging for the drivers. How do you feel about that one to close off this season?
Well, it's a similar layout to Vegas there, but it is a different animal. But I know in Vegas we didn't get to show it, but I think we would have been in contention to win for sure there. Definitely not the road course, but last week, but Vegas for sure. So looking forward to it. I think we'll be hopefully in, like I said, contention to take home a win for the team here.
You were certainly there tonight, came up a little bit short, but either way, it was still a solid run for that number 01 truck tonight. Who would you like to thank for the third place effort?
Well, just the team, Kyle, Evan, and Maddie for like I said, always working well together, and and giving good feedback to help us all out. Charlie Performance is on the truck, of course. Funds the operation, and family and friends watching. Vidane doing an excellent job. A lot of people enjoy watching, so thank you guys as much as anybody.
Your third place finisher tonight, Charles Lewandowski, in truck number 01, was one of the front runners all the way through tonight's JI's Music 120, but came up just a little bit short at the finish and brings it home in third. Oh man, what a wild race we saw tonight here, Tim. Lots of good racing, lots of drama, couple green-white checkered finishes, green-white checkered attempts, and a finish that will be remembered for quite a while that led to a first career win for Brent Roy.
Yeah, Brent Roy comes away with that victory and maybe learn something coming up for Talladega on Monday with the Shift Marketing and Design Grand National Series. And we'll see what the boys can do next week. And, of course, that season finale coming up for the SuperTrucks at Atlanta. Want to give a shout-out to Pat Healy from the Laker. He was cheering on Brent Roy and the crew from NEPS, so want to say hello to him, and I'm sure he'll be tuned in tomorrow night when we go racing. And Kyle, before we go to Paul, what are your expectations tomorrow night? Because we're going to sling some dirt with TCM tomorrow.
Man, very much looking forward to it. I love the opportunity to join the Tim's Corner Motorsports guys for your special events, and to do it on the dirt definitely makes me feel a little bit more confident than some of my asphalt racing ventures. For me, I think a lot of stock is going to be put into that street stock race. It's my favorite dirt car on the sim, probably my best one. And Lima Land is a very tricky racetrack. It's very wide, it's short, the corners are very tight, but it's racy. You can really move around that racetrack. The track usually starts off down on the bottom pretty early on, and as you get laps turned in, it slowly works its way up to the wall, and once it gets to that wall, you just have to try to figure out which line works best for you. So I think you did a great job at picking a very racy racetrack for this event. I think the pressure's off just a little bit, seeing that I don't have to win as many races to get in. It's just a one and you're done. You got two guys that are going into the All-Star Showcase from that race. But either way, it should be fun. I don't have a lot of laps in the UMP Modified as of late. I've been doing a lot of racing in the Northeast Modified, the big block and the small block mods. But either way, it's something that doesn't happen very often with your group. I would like to think that maybe I've got a small leg up, but I know that how competitive your drivers are. And either way, it should be a total blast, a great way to spend a Saturday night. And hopefully everybody that tuned in for tonight's Super Speedway race will check us out on the dirt tomorrow night.
And then, Paul, we got some Super Speedway racing. The playoffs start for the Vidane Sim 500 Super Speedway Series. Trans-Service Cup is coming back on Monday. NEPS is here. RBR is coming back. We got all kinds of stuff. Showtime Cup is at a Super Speedway. What else we got coming up? What did I miss?
Oh, we got a whole lot of big plate track racing action that we just saw here. The iRacing Super Speedway here on the iRacing service. Great to see these super trucks here. Awesome show. And we got a lot of Daytona and Talladega coming up here in the next couple of days. You made mention tomorrow night. We got the Tim's Corner Motorsports Dirt Duels, couple of dirt races tomorrow night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern start time on that. Sim 500 Vidane Racing Super Speedway kicking off at 10:30 tomorrow night. 3 races left in that series. We got 10 drivers locked into the playoffs. Gonna find ourselves a champion, and we're gonna see who's gonna get that Pro-Am belts, championship belt, and the free rental, street stock rental from Rental Race Car at Stafford Motor Speedway on June 11th, the night before Tony Stewart and Ray Evernham's SRX series kicks off at Stafford Motor Speedway. So really looking forward to that weekend coming up here in a couple of months, and we're going to be camping out, freaking out, drinking out, camping out, cooking out, all that good stuff. We're hanging out at the racetrack all weekend long, so we hope that the friends and the families and the sponsors, teammates, everybody here at ANTV shows up and parties with us at Stafford Motor Speedway, because that is going to be an absolute blast. Nothing going on Sunday night, but you made mention. A little bit of doubleheader action going on Monday night. The NEPS Grand National Series running at Talladega. We're going to bump them up to about 8 p.m. Eastern time and 15 minutes earlier than their normal starting spot, because 9:05, probably going to bump that back just a little bit to maybe 9:15, 9:20. We got the Sim 500 Trans-Service Cup Series making their debut here on Vidane TV, kicking off the Daytona Duel 40 lappers Monday night for the Sim 500 crowd. That's going to be exciting, and we're going to be carrying the Trans Service Cup Series all throughout that season. Really looking forward to that. You made mention RBR Maritime back Tuesday night. Couple of races left in their season number 3 Showtime Cup Series. They're to plate track Wednesday night. More plate racing on Wednesday, and then Thursday night, well, NASCAR kicks back off, so we're all taking the night off. We're going to watch some NASCAR Daytona duels on the TV, and Friday night, nothing going on. Back here Saturday night for the Sim 500 Verdane Racing Superspeedway Series. 2 races left at that point. So lots of stuff coming on here. Verdane TV, not just a flash in the pan, as may or may not have heard a time or two last year as things started to wind down. Easy enough for me to say, but for the first half of 2021, we are booked absolutely solid. 4 to 5 races a week, all the way throughout the month of May, and lots of stuff still in the works for the second half and throughout the actual racing season. But the real racing season's starting to kick up. We're working on a couple of different things here at Verdane TV to try and get some real racing out in the airwaves as well. So be sure to keep a lookout on the social media. Check out Verdane.net, the NEPS SuperTruck and Grand National Series sponsored by Shift Marketing Design, as well as the Showtime Cup Series, all posting race recaps, sponsor news, all sorts of good stuff over on Verdane.net. So be sure to check that out as well as the Facebook page. And big time shout out to Josh Ireland hanging out with us in the Facebook chat here on Verdane TV, sponsoring tonight's race. Be sure to check him out on Facebook, J.I.'s Music, a DJ up in the Windham, Maine area, and be sure to check him out. Got to thank him for sponsoring the NEPS guys here tonight and supporting sim racing, supporting us here at Verdane TV, because, man, we couldn't do it without the support of all of our sponsors and partners, and especially the fans. And want to thank all you guys watching for on YouTube and Facebook and Twitch and all that good stuff. Give us a shout out on social media as well. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, give us a follow, and most importantly, give us a quick share. Let your friends and family know that you just got entertained by some internet racing here on Verdane TV, because that's kind of what we do. We entertain the masses, and we're very proud of that fact. So lots of racing coming up here in the next couple of days. Check out social media for all the details. Verdane.net/events for the entire calendar schedule for the next 6 months. It looks like booked solid. So lots of action coming up here at Verdane TV, and want to thank everybody here from Verdane TV, from Tim's Corner Motorsports, and from the NEPS SuperTruck Series, as well as the Shift Marketing and Design Grand National Series. We will catch you guys on the flip side when we do. We're going to be doing it live. You guys have yourselves a fantastic night.